Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast, your one-stop shop for daily Miami Heat and NBA content. My name is Amir. Have a special guest rejoining the program today. You can find his podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher. You can also find him on YouTube. He's also getting really close to 1,000 subscribers, so make sure to go and subscribe to his channel to get him to 1,000. Let's welcome back Bram from the Warriors Huddle Podcast. How are you doing today, buddy?
I am slightly embarrassed of the YouTube channel. I almost hate that we have it. So we started just the audio side, built it way up, got our numbers fucking way up. Then we start the YouTube thing, and it's out there. It's like this objective measure. The idea that 1,000 is so ridiculously small. So I am a little pissy about that thing, but we'll get it up. You know, we should have focused on it up front. I'm also immediately and obviously jealous of the NBA Jams machine behind you. So, I mean, let the record reflect. We've been sitting here talking before the mics went hot. I've been hell of jealous of that from the second your camera turned on, but I wanted to save it to say it live. So, dude, that thing is dope. Nicely played.
Thank you. I think this is like the first Black Friday. Last year I purchased it. First purchase in 20 years, like on Black Friday. Like I got it on Amazon. It's Arcade One Up, I think. So, a good touch. I don't know if you noticed this. I guess it's on commercial break now because it's been idle. I picked the Warriors specifically for you because you're a Warriors fan.
Classy.
I did one player versus CPU. I didn't play. I just clicked on the Warriors and it randomizes who they picked. They picked the fucking Heat. So I was like, I took a picture also. I was like, you can't make this shit up. Like literally it picked the Miami Heat. Like I've played this maybe 20 times since I bought it. And I've picked the Heat. I've never been paired up with the Warriors. I've picked the Warriors. I've never been paired up with the Heat. So I thought that was very fitting. But yeah, it's a nice little item to have. It's part of my studio. I'm the opposite of you, though. I only have a YouTube channel. I have some episodes on Spotify. I got too lazy to download the audio and try to build an audience on Spotify. I just hit 2,500 or so subs. It feels fucking small to your point, because when you think of like social media, which I don't really use, I see you're on Twitter because it's part of the podcast, right? There's a big NBA community, so I'm using that god-awful site. And like I don't really use social media, but like when you think of social media, Instagram, 100,000 followers. Twitter, I see people 20, 30, 40,000. And it's like, I only have 2,500, but it's so freaking hard to get your first 1,000 to get monetized. Like it seems so small, but I'm in the 6%. I'm in the 94th percentile of all YouTube channels that exist. There's 100 million of them, but I'm still in the 6th percentile, like of the 10 million, 20 million, whatever that number is. I can't do the math. But it's insane, right? Like it's annoying, but it's great. I mean, you will get there. You'll enjoy it. Like it's cool to see the video broadcast. I enjoy the audio, but I think you like it. You secretly like it. You post enough. I watch. I see you and Maxime. I see your episodes.
Oh, we post them all there. I mean, so Amir, for people who don't remember from the first podcast, I'm a psychopath. I'm neurotic on all topics, including.
You're a lawyer, right? So that's by trade.
In addition, but I'd be, I'm sure there are healthy lawyers out there. That's not me. I like to be like angsty about all things. This is just topic one. And yes, I'm immediately hedged. Anytime somebody finds them, like, just so you know, we're a lot bigger than nobody gives a shit. There's no reason for me to do it. But no, man, it's a pleasure to be back. I appreciate you having me back on.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to talk to you. And I wanted to get you on when Jimmy Butler was traded to the Golden State Warriors, and a lot has happened since that's happened. In the regular season, you guys went 24-7 or 8. Like when you had him in the games that he played, I know he only missed a couple games in the regular season, but completely up-leveled this team into a contender, in my opinion. Changed your team overnight. You guys were destined for the play-in, it seemed like, once again. And you guys did a great job, obviously, getting Steph help. And I know you guys tried to get KD back on board, but I'm sure as hell, I'm sure you're as hell glad that you got Jimmy over KD. Perhaps I think it might be a better fit. I don't know if this KD would have been good enough to carry the team, but you guys, 7th seed, took a commanding lead over the Houston Rockets, young up and coming team. You're up 3-1. And it's because, in my opinion, of Jimmy fucking Butler, who has somehow regained his joy for playing basketball. And he has proudly embraced his role as Robin on your team, man. So it must be exciting to have Jimmy Butler on your team. How do you feel about all of that?
Let's see. So we still reached that destiny, right? We still had to go to the goddamn plan, but that wasn't because of Jimmy. It's because we had such a terrible middle of the season stretch that we had to kind of get over that. So what did I like? And I'll get through the first part quickly because I know it's a Heat podcast. Would I have preferred KD? No. Not that I don't want Kevin Durant back. I have nothing but fond memories. It was kind of a one-sided breakup. If he wanted to come here, dope, I'm on board. But what Durant explained ultimately about why he said he didn't want to come back, or one of the reasons he gave was, I cost a lot, is how he put it. The team I go to changes entirely when I get there because you have to give up too many assets. First thing I like about Jimmy, and this is the part I got to be delicate about, we didn't have to give up much, man. The relationship that we found that had already soured in Miami, I love two-way Wiggs. I hope that draft pick is ultimately successful for you. But the idea that we didn't have to give up Pods or JK and all these other guys makes him an immediate upgrade in my mind over Durant. There's one. Two, fit. Yeah. His game style, specific. It's a Lego piece. We have had fireworks offensively in Golden State for years. People know that. What we don't have is rim pressure. We don't have a lot of people who go to the rack. We score most of our stuff from behind the arc. So having somebody who sets up office in the paint the way that Jimmy does fits absolutely seamlessly. But I think the thing that I hadn't thought out, and the thing I'm liking not the most, the thing that's making maybe the largest impact is his demeanor, man. Steve Kerr recently described Jimmy Butler on the Warriors as our quote-unquote designated driver. Loved that take. He's right. Steph's a lot of things. He has brought more magic and joy in my life than I can describe to you right now. But he's also a little loose with the ball. There's turnovers right at the wrong time. He's not the kind of demonstrative leader. When Buddy Hield is taking a shitburger three-pointer, Steph isn't the guy to go over there and tell him, you can't do this. And so when Buddy came, it wasn't just how he was impacting the score. It's how he's been impacting accountability. And that's been really true in the playoffs. And so, no, it's been a pleasure. I am just starting to learn what it means to have playoff Jimmy in my life. I've watched him from afar. So far, so good, man. It's been incredible.
Yeah, he looks washed, huh? Like, as a lot of folks were saying, a lot of folks, or the Miami Heat's front office, assumed he was not going to be able to continue to do that year after year. And his leadership and competitive drive obviously is huge. His competitive spirit has elevated, inspired his teammates. Like, people think he's toxic. I mean, like, the way he's left every team, the last three teams specifically, has been toxic. But like, the way he creates instant bonds with teammates, at least initially, that can go sour in year 2, year 3 of this contract, because you guys gave him that extension, which I think is going to look bad, honestly, after this year. I think this is most likely the last shot. I just don't know what you're going to get from Jimmy. Like, he's going to load manage. That's not going to help you guys in the regular season. He's going to miss 25 games next year. He's going to be age 36. And I mean, that formula works, but like, his rim pressure, like, he's getting to the free throw line a lot for you guys, because Steph Curry gets the worst superstar whistle in playoff history and regular season history. Like, guy averages like 5 free throws a game, which is insane. But like, I just don't think he's going to make enough of an impact. And Steph is also going to get a little bit older, and Draymond, they're going to lose a step. So I think this is the best opportunity. But you hit it on the nose. Like, he's building relationships with buddies, like talking shit, giving them those jabs. Obviously, it's like a love kind of hate, like from an outsider's perspective, right? So I think he's like a perfect Lego piece or piece of that puzzle to fit on this roster.
Conflict is good in podcasts, so I'll push back a little bit. First, I'll add this. I agree. It doesn't. His ending in Chicago, spectacularly shitburger. His ending in Minnesota, spectacularly shitburger. His ending in Philadelphia, shitburger. His ending with you guys, even worse. Yep. If Jimmy's on a contract that he does not think is right, the runway gets set on fire. The locker room gets taken down around him. I don't think that's going to be an issue here. He's getting paid big money, and that big money is in lockstep with Steph, Dre, and Kerr. We're kind of all into one thing. So do I think, is he going to be this effective at the end of the contract? I don't know, but I'm not expecting a giant fight. I don't think there's going to be a locker room thing. I think they've already known it's going to ultimately go away together. will they be as impactful next year as they are this? Amir, here's where I get to push back. I think the Warriors are right on the precipice. I haven't conceded that we've won this series yet. I don't even want to say that shit. It makes me feel like I'm jinxing it. But if we do, I think we're a series away from entering a unpublished, really important list for the NBA. There is a list of teams that veterans, when they're done making money, who haven't won a championship, considers going there. You know, and for a while, the Warriors were a part of that list. We got like DeMarcus Cousins, all these random people who came. I think that if they get through this series and they can remind the world how fun it is to play with Steph and who Jimmy Butler is, I think they're going to add a couple people in the offseason. And I think next year we're going to have a roster that is much more constructed around the pieces we have. So I don't agree with you that this is going to be our last shot at contention. I think that they are going to drag themselves into next year too. But we'll see. You know, that's a problem for a future season. Question for you, man. Yeah. So I'll be transparent first. Proof point number 2 that I'm crazy. I can love a player forever. They go to another team. If my team isn't having success, fuck that player. I can't root for him. Like I wish that I could, but like, no, I don't. If my team's doing well, then I'm on board. Right now, I'm rooting for Wiggins. If we had missed the play-in and you guys were in the playoffs, I wouldn't, even though he helped us get to a championship, win the 22. So for you, you've had Butler in your life. He's done a lot. He's moved on now. Are you hoping for failure? Are you rooting for him? Like how do you guys do this?
I mean, Heat Nation is torn. There's the camp that still enjoys watching Jimmy Butler from afar and they're rooting for him to win. There's others that said, fuck you, you quit. You stood in the corner. You literally were taking one-legged 3-point shots in the corner. Your usage rate went from like 24 to like 10, like in those few games before he ultimately said, I lost my joy in basketball. I don't know if I can regain it here. Like they're not using me correctly, like all this bullshit basically. Then like an hour later, he requests the trade, gets suspended like 30 times before we trade you ultimately. So like, of course I was in the camp of like, fuck you, man. Like, this is how you're really going to do it. Like, did we really wrong you that badly? Like, yes and no. Like they didn't construct a team around him. He was our Batman. I heard on a podcast you said you don't really like the Batman Robin thing because Batman's not that cool of a superhero, and I agree. But he was our Superman or Iron Man or Spider-Man or Batman, whatever the hell you want. And he had no fucking Robin. He had no Robin. We had Alfreds. We had younger Alfred. We didn't have old ass Alfred from the original Batman, you know, with Michael Keaton. We had him when like the Christian Bale. Actually, no, he's even older. What's his name? The actor. There's the one where the guy Golem was like.
You had Michael Caine as the Alfred.
I want the young Alfred. There's like a show or some shit. The guy that played Golem in Lord of the Rings was like a younger, like 40, 50-year-old Alfred versus like the 80-year-old. So anyway, like we just had a bunch of Alfreds. So I get it that like he was upset, but it was kind of out of control. Like the team, it was out of the front office's control because they fucked up and were doing the blended build of trying to like draft some young guys, try to like build up Tyler and Bam and Jovic and Hawkes, and also add a couple veteran pieces like Jay Rich and Thomas Bryant. Like they added PJ Tucker, which was great, Lowry and other pieces, players that Jimmy wanted. Yeah. But it's like, I don't think we wronged Jimmy that badly to where he couldn't have done this silently, just basically saying behind closed doors that like during the offseason, like if you're not going to give me this extension, just trade me and let's just try to get me to a contender. I like these 4 teams. Try to get me there versus him saying that he lost all of his value. So at first I was pissed, but then I realized this team, after losing LeBron James in 2014 or whatever year it was, has been a shitty team and has not been in contender since Jimmy Butler came in 2020 during the bubble season with no expectation of us becoming a contender. People are like, why is Jimmy going to this Heat team? They're not even that good. And overnight took us and turned us into a contender and took us to 2 championships. Like realizing how enjoyable he made my life, not as enjoyable as Steph has made yours, but in those 5 years compared to the years of Dion freaking Waiters, Hassan Whiteside, James Johnson, like those type of players, like the amount of fun I had. And I still do this every month. I watch game 4, first round in the East, Heat versus Bucks, where Jimmy Butler scored 56 points against Giannis and the Bucks to go up 3-1 in that fucking game. I just literally watch it every month on YouTube to just enjoy the 6th best performance in a playoff game in terms of points scored in a game. Jimmy did that for me, so I'm rooting for him. I live in San Francisco. I live in SF. You live in SF. Like all my friends are Warrior fans. Like my daughter, she's only 2 years old. I'm sure she's going to be a Warriors fan, even though I don't want her to be, but she can be. That's fine. But I live in this city. Why not make my friends happy? Like why can't like Jimmy Butler will be happy? My friends who love Steph and Dre, like all my friends who I play basketball with, our buddy Scott, our mutual friend who loves the Warriors. Why can't you guys be happy? Right? Like it doesn't hurt me.
There's that meme you see every now and again on Twitter of Wolverine looking at a picture and like putting his hand on it. I imagine you doing that with a picture of Butler every time you watch that game. Like you're just all the way in. Quick correction: I'm in Oakland, not San Francisco. For us East Bay kids, that makes a difference. But I'm going to put a point on this. All right, Amir, I'm going to hand you a magic button. You can press it, and Jimmy will either win another title or will never win another title. It's up to you. What do you do?
I mean, I'll press it. Like we talked about this offline though. Like you could either choose a franchise to not win a championship in X amount of years, or you can choose a team to win a championship. So that's a different question, I guess. But like for the question you asked, yes, I would push a button to have Jimmy Butler win a championship. I think he deserves it. I think he's an amazing player, obviously, and I value what he did for the Miami Heat. People will talk shit to me on Twitter. There's some fans that get really pissed about that. I understand both sides.
You're a good man. I hope I will never have to consider a similar question with Steph. And I hope even more that if I do, I'm mature enough to tell you, yeah, I'll give him another, he's done everything for me. I'll press the button, give him another chip. I'm also super bitter. I don't know. Like, we'll jump off that bridge when we come to it. I'm really not sure what I would do.
You would say yes. Come on. If it meant giving Steph, let's say Steph's still playing until he's 39 and he goes to like the Heat. Let's say he goes to the Heat for some reason. Somehow we get Steph at age 39. He doesn't win a championship for the next 3 seasons. Steph gets to go out and retire. He won't retire. He'll win a championship with the Heat and come back to the Warriors. You guys are done. You guys are a lottery team again. Draymond's gone. Jimmy's gone. Steph is gone. You're rebuilding with Pods and Kuminga or whatever. You wouldn't say let Steph, because if they fumble it like they did Clay, which you can't fumble Steph like you did Clay, obviously, right? But like you did do that as well.
Perfect distinction. All right. So now in this like maybe world, I'm not there yet, and so like maybe in an aspirational sense, would I like to be the kind of person who'd give Steph another championship? Amir, yes. Yes, I would like to be.
Because he's your GOAT. He's your GOAT. That would be 5. You would have to have.
Of course I would. Now, make it real. For most of this year, was I rooting for Klay Thompson at all after he brought an unbelievable amount of joy into my life? Fuck no, I wasn't. Hard no. In fact, it took the Warriors, I'm a happily married man. I've been for a long time. If, God forbid, my wife Eric and I ever got divorced, if she went and found another husband and was super happy and I found nobody, I'd be super anti. I would not want her to be happy at all. If I then got happily remarried and I'm all good, then yes, off you go. So applied to Clay, when we were sucking ass, and like our season's going really in the wrong direction. If I had a magic button I could press to prevent Clay from winning another one, I'd smash it. I would break it. I've pressed it so many times. Now that we're in a better place, and Dallas seems kind of screwed, and now I'm a little softened up. So I hope I could be like that for Steph, but I don't know. I'm pretty crazy when it comes to that stuff.
Is it because of the way he left, like that he wasn't willing to take a cheaper contract, or because do you also pay players based on their legacy, what they've done in the past, and like you also got to pay them for what you think they're going to do in the future as well, but it's different when they're like champions, right?
Yeah. That final season with Clay was really angsty and hard. And the way that the contract negotiations ultimately went at the back end, not in the beginning, because they lowballed them and screwed him and kind of alienated him a little bit. But as that final season played out, there was a ton of stuff kind of coming out from behind the scenes and in the locker room where he was making himself a little bit more important than he needed. And so I don't want to report on anything I heard there, but it got a little uglier than it needed to. And throw in the tough season we had, the halfway through when I was like very much panicked about the mortality of the Golden State Warriors. I wasn't super happy that he had left us hole in the bag, but now we're fine. Best of luck to Clay. I hope he's doing great somewhere.
Yeah. Your lifeline is Jimmy Butler. You guys are floating and we're sinking right now and drowning. So I want to talk a little bit about Heat basketball. But specifically I want to talk about the trade you mentioned. So the pieces that we got back in return. Slow-mo, I freaking love. That guy's great. He's friendly contract. I think it's under 10 million. per for the next 2 seasons. I think it's like 7 and 9. I'll live with that. He's a solid veteran off the bench. Deceivingly good defender, like surprisingly can actually stay in front of some guards, even though he's slow. Very crafty, obviously, when it comes to offense, but I think he's better at like playing that point forward, more of a playmaker versus a scorer, but he has that ability to spread the floor. So I like that. Andrew fucking Wiggins.
Smart player, man.
Smart.
I have spent a sports career hating slow-mo, being frustrated by him.
Yeah, Grizzlies. He was on the Grizz, right, for a while, and Minnesota.
It's exactly right. And then when he joined us, it took about a month for me to really appreciate what he was doing and his play style. That guy does not make wrong decisions. He is, generally speaking, in the right place. And there are times when his pace of play actually really helps the team. I mean, like he gets buckets occasionally in ways that I did not know he was capable of getting. So I like slow-mo.
He's like, he does the natural deacceleration, which Scott Stillman, our mutual friend who I play basketball with, usually on Saturdays, once a week. Sometimes we aren't able to play together, but he likes to try to do this deacceleration move because Scott's pretty swift and fast still for an old man. And he goes downhill really quick, and then he takes one step and then he kind of stops. So the defender kind of continues on to the rim. Ty Jerome was doing that a lot in this series against the Heat, but slow-mo kind of does that naturally. He deaccelerates after he gets going. He kind of slows down like an old man eventually, right? He doesn't fall over, luckily. He still has momentum and balance, but he's a really cerebral player. I like him. Coach Spo literally just trusted him immediately, threw him into the rotation. But the guy I want to talk about is Andrew Wiggins, the centerpiece of this fucking god-awful trade. I was hopeful about Andrew Wiggins. I know he's truly still the definition of a number one bust, obviously, but he redeemed himself. He was a good scorer, but not as good of a two-way player. Right. The conundrum is how are you considered a two-way player where is it his effort? I don't understand. There's some games where you're damn, he's a really good lockdown defender, good point of attack, perimeter defender, and he can guard up. He's not very big, but he's very strong for someone who's 6'7" and whatever he weighs, 220. And then there's some games where he's he can't even stay in front of the defender. And if it's a big man, the defender, the big man's crossing him up. They're not even using strength to get by him. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, there's high expectations for him to be a key contributor on this team. And I don't know what his limitations are. If they're physically, mentally, he literally was horrible in the playoffs. Regular season, he was fine. He missed a bunch of games, but he had a bunch of games where he was getting 21, 22 points per game. So we saw him as a kind of 3-level scorer, but he literally disappeared in the playoffs. So did the whole Miami Heat team. It's not on him, but just what are your thoughts on him? Because I am done with him. I see him as a trade piece in the future.
Want upside or downside? You want me to talk you into you have a good player, or you want me to talk you into get rid of this fucking guy?
If you want to convince me why we should not get rid of this fucking guy.
2022, he was the second best player in the finals. Not on our team. He outplayed Jason Tatum. In 2022, he was the second best player in the finals, and physically, nothing's changed. He's had a bunch of weird off the court things that they got into out here, and you cannot. What I've learned about Andrew Wiggins is that if you put him as your number one option, you're fucked. And if you put any kind of pressure on him that he feels like he is close to a number one option, it's not going to happen. But if he is free to just give you what he can give in any game-to-game setting, he can be the second best player in a finals, not just on a team. So he's got that upside. But since 2022, and the other thing, he would disappear frequently. When I was watching a little bit of the game yesterday, I had forgotten one of the things he does that just annoys the hell out of me. I was talking to my wife. We were watching the game, and he comes up. I go, "Oh, there's Andrew Wiggins," and she didn't notice him immediately. And before I could give him the number, he did that thing where he stands like Montgomery Burns. He puts his hands on the fucking back of his lower back and looks like a weirdo, like an 85-year-old. And my wife's like, "Oh, there he is!" I remember all of that. He can be a very capable defender. He can be a very capable scoring option, but he disappears at the drop of a hat. And when he does, he can disappear for a month. You know, for us, he stopped playing and they never even told us why. He literally had an off the court issue whose answer was never provided. He didn't play for 2 to 3 months. So yeah, it can go either way, man. I remember the two-way Wiggs experience.
I mean, he's just a role player. I don't know. Like, he got hot in the finals. He arguably was the second best player, but that was one time. Like, it hasn't been consistent. I think he's a supreme role player. Like, did he get an all-star nod? I think he got an all-star, like, because of injuries or whatever. But like, I don't know, I'm not happy that he was the centerpiece of this trade. I'd rather have had picks. I'd rather have had if applicable. I think you had Schroeder at one point. I don't know if he was tradable or not because he got traded to you guys from the Nets? I don't think you were able to trade him before the deadline, so maybe that doesn't apply. But give me a Schroeder type contract. Give me a slow-mo. Throw in some other whoever on your bench that's a filler. You guys wouldn't throw in Gary Payne, who I love, but like give me those 3 guys and 2 picks. Like, I just knew Wiggins was damaged goods just from the beginning. Obviously, like he's not the biggest number 1 bust, but he's a big enough bust. Obviously, like he obviously didn't live up to his potential. But
he's not like an Anthony Bennett, you know. I mean, like he's not, you know, he's a guy who will give you value. He's not going to be out of the league. But do I look at him and think number 1 overall? No, you know. And that what we're talking about now goes back to what I was saying with the KD thing. Mike Dunleavy is hated out here as a player. You know, he was number 3 to us. He was really hated, but now as a GM, he seems to know what the hell he's doing. And the way they approached that Miami stuff, they weren't going to include a young player. They weren't, you know. And it seemed like from afar, I trust your read of the Heat far better than I do. But once Riley and Butler got into the public fight they had, there was no more leverage left. You know, they couldn't ask for all the things they otherwise would have. I mean, Butler's worth everything you're talking about. But by the time the trade happened, that wasn't, you know, everybody knew. If I told you, Amir, I own a car, and from Monday through Saturday, I was like, this car sucks ass. Well, I can't drive it anymore. I hate it. This isn't working. And then Sunday came to you and said, hey, you want to buy it? You're not giving me top dollar. You know, you're going to give me nothing. Here's 8 cents. You know, like I already know you hate that car. And that's what it felt like that trade was.
Yeah. I mean, again, it was a messy divorce. Once he demanded a trade and said, I lost all my joy. Like, we're like, all right, oh, there it goes. Now we're going to get lowballed on every deal. Like, we're going to get like literally he is ruining his value. And they know we desperately need to trade him by February 12th. Right. And like, if we don't trade him, we're just going to have to continue to suspend him, or he's going to be an on-court distraction. Like, we're just going to pay him to stay home. Pat Riley will never do that. Mickey Arison, not Pat Riley, obviously. Mickey Arison, the owner, would never allow him to be on this team and just to be on vacation, playing dominoes and drinking coffee. He's not going to allow that. So they knew we have an absolute deadline and we have to figure this shit out and we have to trade him. And he wanted to go to the Suns. Like, that was all smoke and mirrors. It seems like, I was like, if he went to the Suns, that would have been the stupidest decision ever. Like, he doesn't care about winning. He just cares about the money. But him playing the way he's been playing and the way he's assimilated with the Warriors, like, obviously he does want to win and make the money. I think the money is still top priority and was top priority. But he also, thank God, didn't go to the Suns because fuck the Suns.
He said he didn't want to come here until we gave him the contract. We were one of the 2 teams. He's like, nope, I don't want to play for Golden State. And then, you know, $100 and whatever it is, $20 million deal later, he was all good with coming. And now we're also like, fine, you know, like I am on board. He dropped the Joy post game yesterday.
I know.
He said, yeah. Which I thought was just like a trolly. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, man, I loved it. But you know, if I was watching it as a Heat fan, it would piss me off for sure.
Yeah, I'm bipolar when it comes to like rooting for Jimmy and hating him at the same time. I was like, "Fuck you!" But
you're a good man. You can take back that magic button thing if you want to. You can say you can hit the other one and prevent him from winning it. You have till the end of this podcast to make your final call on that. I won't judge you in any way, shape, or form. That's a promise.
No, I'll roof. I'm gonna. If I would probably switch it to if you gave me the ability to not let the Lakers or Celtics to win for 10 years, like going back into that question, like I would probably then just say, fine, Jimmy doesn't win one, but the Lakers and Celtics each don't get to win for the next decade. Yeah. And people don't have to say 18, 17 rings, blah, blah. Even though people like can't even name a single player from the teams in the 40s or 50s outside of George Mikan and Kusi, like, or Bill Russell. and it's like there's 9 teams in the league. Like black people weren't able to play like for certain.
Oh, yes. Well,
It's
and
like,
most of the Laker fans who bring that shit up rooted for other teams between the titles. Like they didn't stick with them all the way through. This is a PTSD topic for me. There's, as you know, man, you live in the Bay. There's way too many Laker fans here. I cannot stand them. I cannot stand their chants. I cannot stand any conversations I had with them. They can fuck themselves and all of their titles.
I mean, I grew up in Fresno, and there's so many more Laker fans back then. I'm fucking guarantee it. There's more Warrior fans now because they're freaking bandwagon
Sure.
fans.
Yeah, sure.
Everything we got was televised, was Bay Area, so that's why I'm a Niners fan. I'm a Giants fan. But like, of course, it was still in the 2000s when I was growing up there that the Lakers were on the three-peat. So like most folks, it's split. It's just we're equidistant to LA and San Francisco. And even though we weren't televised Los Angeles market games, everybody was still split between Dodgers, Giants, Lakers. There were some Warrior fans that I knew growing up, but not as many, way more so now in Fresno specifically. And I was watching a game and like the Lakers were playing some random team at a bar. And I was like, I was rooting against the other team. And this guy turns around and says, "You're not a Laker fan?" Like, and he pushes me, double hand pushes me, and he wants to fucking fight me. And he was like this 5'3". I'm not that big. I'm 6 feet tall, but he's like 5'3", 5'5" little dude. And he's like wanted to fight me on the spot because I wasn't rooting for the Lakers. I'm like, dude, we're in Fresno. Like, we're not in LA. Like, just so obnoxious. There's so many Laker fans there too as well. So I understand what it's like growing up. And all my family were Laker fans too. Like my dad migrated to Los Angeles. Like my older brother was born in LA and he's not a Laker fan, thank God. He has a reason to. He was born and raised there, but all my family, like on my mom and dad's side, they're all Laker fans. So anyway, we do have a hard stop. I want to ask you one question before we have to hop off. Who's coming out of the West? Who's coming out of the East? And who's your champion this season?
I mean, so let me say this so that I feel good when I get off. I think the Warriors continue to have a puncher's chance. The kind of thing that like Rocky had when the movie starts, like maybe. But if I had to bet a mortgage payment, like something that mattered to me, would I bet it on the Warriors? No. OKC has looked elite all year and nothing's happened in this first round to talk me out of it. I think that they're going to face a little bit of whoever comes out of that Denver series. I think it'll be the Clips, but I think they'll face a little bit of a challenge there. But if I got to bet on the guess, it's OKC. East, it's probably still Boston. I hate that team. I understand what Cleveland's doing. I get how talented they are and that they're ready to arrive. But I think that Boston has managed the impossible. They're a returning championship team who has motivation. You don't see that, like in the whole Tatum thing that he didn't play in the Olympics and Joe Maz being a psychopath. I see them meeting. And then ultimately, I think it's Boston again. I would pay a ton of money to just prevent that from happening. I didn't set up the question. We didn't really get into it, but this idea of could I slam a franchise's title window shut for 5 years? If I could, Boston is on my short list of people I would like to consider. I hate that fan base and that team. So this is not what I want to have happen, but if you're asking me what I think it's Boston.
I think so too. I mean, that's what I predicted beginning of the season. I said Thunder, Celtics. I picked the Thunder to win. This is before the season started, so I'm hoping that's correct. And yeah, the Boston Celtics, they're beatable. I mean, Jason Tatum I think is one of the most overrated superstars. Yep. They also had the easiest path to a championship in the East. Literally, Jimmy Butler wasn't playing for the Heat in the first round. Then they played against Donovan Mitchell, who missed 3 games. Then they played against the Pacers, who Halliburton missed games. And then like Giannis was hurt, Dame was hurt. Like it was just the easiest path. But don't get me wrong, they were historically good offensively. They're number 1 rated offensive team, number 2 defense. Like they were a freaking juggernaut last year. So like I still think they would have won anyway. But I love to get to use that as like a caveat. That you had a fucking Mickey Mouse cupcake route, but they won a championship. It's hard to do no matter what, as you obviously know, as your team has done it a lot. But yeah, I agree with you on that.
I like the idea that Jason Tatum goes to Paris, presumably brings his entire family. I mean, they just won the championship. He's got the world's most expensive contract ever. This is the summer of Tatum. He brings everybody there, and then at some point, he's got to make eye contact with his son Deuce and explain why he's never coming off the bench. Like I genuinely enjoyed that he had to watch that championship run. There was something that was spitefully fantastic for me on that.
And the best part is that Steve Kerr and Eric Spoelstra had a hand in that. So
Yeah, let's go. That's
let's
right.
go.
Yeah, we can. We've got a Venn diagram and support there. That's exactly right.
Yes, sir. Anyway, before we hop off, do you want to let my audience, because I'm doing more NBA content, so it's not just Heat fans, but do you want to let them know again where they can find your podcast?
Yeah, we are the Warriors Huddle Podcast. Stay away from the YouTube. As I just told you, I hate that channel, but no, we're trying to grow that. We are on anywhere you would find podcasts. We're pretty limited social media. Really, it's just Twitter or X, whatever you're supposed to call that. Generally speaking, record once a week, but throughout the playoffs, we're recording after pretty much every game. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you again.